Hello and welcome to this course of how to publish an Android app the right way. My name is Cristian Gredișteanu and I'll be your instructor for this course. Let's see what are the objectives for this course or what you can expect to learn by taking this course. We'll start by discussing how to properly prepare your application for publishing by removing the log method calls. I will show you how to achieve this by using both Android Studio and Eclipse, the most popular Android IDEs at this moment. Next, we'll see how to digitally sign your application in order to have it ready for publishing. We'll then discuss about how to sign up for a publisher account with Google, how to create your application store listing, and finally how to publish and later update your application. Well, that being said, let's get started with how to publish an Android app the right way. Hello everyone! In this video I'd like to discuss about removing the log method calls from your application. The log method calls are a great way to debug your application, but in the release version of your app, especially if you're using intensive logging, this can clutter the logcat or even slow down your application. Of course, if you only make a few calls to the log method in your app, this can be easily commented out before releasing your app. But what if your app is more complex and uses more log method calls? Do you really have to go through each of these calls and comment each one? There is a better alternative to this by using ProgWard. ProgWard is a utility usually used to obfuscate your code from prying eyes. It can also optimize your application code when generating the released version of it. But in this course, we will use it to strip the log method calls in our release version. Here I have a simple application created by using the blank activity template. I just added a few log method calls inside the onCreate, onResume and onPause activity methods. In my app, it can be very easy to comment these lines. But let's presume that you have a more complex app. Let's see how we can enable ProgWard in your application. There are two files that we need to modify in order to enable ProgWard. In Android Studio, we need to open the build.gradle file located inside the source folder of your app. And here, inside build types and then inside the release property, we can find a line that says minify enabled, which is currently set to false. We can enable ProgWard by setting its value to true, but that's not all. In order to be able to use our custom rules with ProgWard, we need to enable optimizations. We can do this by setting ProgWard to use the optimize file instead of the default one, by adding optimize after Android in the name of the configuration file that ProgWard will use. Next, we need to specify our rules, and this can be found inside the ProgWard-rules.pro file. This file can be found underneath the build.gradle file that we modified so far, and by default it contains some comments meant to help us create new rules. I'll just delete these comments and what are the rules that we need to insert here in order to remove the logging in our app? Well, I can't tell you exactly. That's because I never memorized these rules. But I'll show you how you can find them. That's even better than memorizing a set of rules if these can be found at any time on internet. I'll perform a search on Google for ProgWard strip log. The first link in the results page points to a Stack Overflow discussion on this subject. Here, someone asked about the rules that will enable ProgWard to strip all the logs from the application. And if we scroll down, we can find the answer to this question. Someone posted the rules needed to strip the logs. I'll just copy these rules and will paste them in my ProgWard rules file. Now, as the author states, the assume no side effects rule is only relevant when the optimization version of the ProgWard is used. That's why we had to enable optimization in the first place. And now, if we generate our release APK, the log method calls will be removed. As a security rule, never include sensitive user information in the logs like username, passwords, credit card information, as this might become available to other persons. And that concludes the lesson about how to remove the log method calls from your application by using Android Studio and ProgWard. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Hi! This video is about removing the log method calls from your application. The log method calls are a great way to debug your application, but in the released version of your app, especially if you're using intensive logging, this can clutter the logcat or even slow down your application. In this lesson, we'll see how to remove this by using the Eclipse IDE. If you only make a few calls to the log method in your app, this can be easily commented out before releasing your app. But what if your app is more complex and uses more log method calls? In this lecture, we'll use ProgWard. ProgWard is a utility that can optimize your application's code. But in this course, we will use it to strip the log method calls in the release version of your app. Here I have a simple application created by using the blank activity template. I just added a few log method calls inside the onCreate, onResume and onPause activity methods. In my app, it can be very easy to comment this, but let's presume that you have a more complex app. Let's see how we can enable ProgWard in our application. There are two files that we need to modify in order to achieve that. The first one is project.properties. Here we can find a line that says, to enable ProgWard to shrink and obfuscate your code, uncomment this. So we need to uncomment the following line, the one that starts with progward.config. Now, in order for ProgWard to use the custom rules that we will specify shortly, this will have to be set up by using the optimized version of it and not the default one. We do that by appending -optimize after Android in the name of the file that ProgWard will use for its configuration. So this will look like progward-android-optimize.txt. Next, we can find the file that will contain our rules. In this case, the file name is progward-project.txt. This file is located right above the one that we modified so far. This file contains a bunch of comments that we're going to remove in order to insert our custom rules that ProgWard will follow. But where do you get those rules? How do we come up with the rules that will instruct ProgWard to remove the log method calls from our app? I'll start by opening a web browser and search for ProgWard strip log on Google. The first return result is pointing to a Stack Overflow question. Let's see more details about this. Here we can find a question posted by a user that was trying to solve the same problem, to strip the log entries from his application. And if we scroll down to the answers section, we can find one that provides the ProGuard rules that are doing just that. I will copy these rules and will paste them into my ProGuard rules file. As the user that responded to this question illustrates, the Assume No Side Effects option is only available when the optimization version of the ProGuard is used. That's why we had to specify that ProGuard will use the optimized file and not the default one when we enabled ProGuard. And this is how we can strip the log method calls entries from our application. Now, when we generate the released version of our app, something that we'll do in the next lesson, all the logs will be removed. To summarize, in this lesson we learned how to remove the log method calls from our app by using ProGuard and Eclipse. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Hi, in this video we will take a look at how we can digitally sign our application to prepare it for release. Here we are using Android Studio, and in order to sign the application, we simply go to the Build menu and select Generate Signed APK from the list. In order to be able to sign the APK, we need a key. If you already have a key that you would like to use, you can simply select the Choose Existing option here. But in this video, I'll show you how to generate a new key. We'll start by selecting the Create New button. Then we need to select a new path for our key. For simplicity, I will save this on my desktop folder and will name it Android Studio Key. Next, we need to provide a password and confirm it. We then are asked for an alias, which in my case will be main key. And again, we'll have to enter a password which does not have to be the same as the previous one. And we need again to confirm it. We are then asked about the validity of the key. This is expressed in years. I will leave the default settings here for 25 years. And finally, we need to fill at least one field like first and last name, organization, city, etc. We'll then press OK, and now that all required fields are filled, we press Next. On the next window, we are asked about the destination folder for our APK and the build type of the application that we want to create. We can create either a debug version or a release one. In this case, we will choose release, so we will be able to publish our application on the Google Play Store. As for the APK destination folder, I will leave the default option, which points to my documents folder. And finally, we press Finish. We'll give a few moments to Gradle to execute its tasks, and after that, if everything works as expected, we can see a dialog window letting us know that the signed APK has been generated successfully. Next, we can either choose Show in Explorer in order to open a new Explorer window pointing to our APK, or we can simply close this dialog. If we choose to show in Explorer, a new Windows Explorer window is opened in the location that we choose to save our APK. And this is how you digitally sign your APK. In a later video, we will upload this APK to the Google Play Store. Thanks for watching. Hi, in this video we'll take a look at how we can digitally sign our application to prepare it for release. Here we are using Eclipse, and in order to sign the application, we right-click on the project in Project Explorer window and select Android Tools and then Export Signed Application Package from there. Next, we are asked about the project that we want to export, which is My Simple App in this case, and by clicking Next, we get to choose an existing key or have the option to create a new one in order to sign the application. If you already have a key that you would like to use, you You just need to browse to the location containing that key. But in this video, I'll show you how to generate a new key. I'll select Create New Key Store, then we'll click on Browse, and for simplicity, I will save the key on my desktop. I'll create a new folder called Eclipse Key Store, and inside this folder I will save my key, giving it the name of Eclipse Key. Next, I need to enter a password that I want to use and confirm it. We then click Next, and here we're asked about an alias for our key. We'll name this main key store, and again we are asked for a password which does not have to be the same as the previous one, and again a password confirmation. For validity, I will enter 100 years, and then we need to fill at least one field containing our details, so I will enter my first and last name here. We press Next, and we are asked about the location that will hold our APK. I will click Browse, and again, for simplicity, I will select my desktop folder as the destination folder for the signed APK. I'll name the APK My Simple App and we'll click Save. After that, we click Finish, and if everything works as expected, after a few moments the Export Android application window should disappear. And now, if I switch to my desktop, I can find my Simple App APK file here, along with the key that I saved inside the Eclipse Key Store folder. In a later video, we will upload this APK to Google Play Store and publish our application. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and thanks for watching. Hi, in this video I'd like to discuss about the registration process with Google, or how to become an Android developer. I'll start by performing a Google search for Android developer. We then access the Android developers website located at developer.android.com. Next we select Distribute, then Google Play, and finally Get Started with Publishing. Then we can see what are the necessary steps to register for a publisher account with Google. On step 4, we can see that a $25 one-time registration fee has to be paid. Google requests this fee from developers in order to encourage them to publish higher quality apps. If you want to sell your app or to include in-app billing services in your app, you will need to set up a Google Wallet merchant account. There's nothing complicated when setting up this account. The only problem is that currently this account is not available worldwide, but Google is doing a pretty good job extending this service. Let's take a look at the list of countries that supports merchant account registration. Here we can find a list of the countries in which developers are able to register for a developer account and for a merchant account with Google. As you can see, most of the countries are supported for registering a new developer account, but not many of them are accepting a merchant account registration. You can filter the list by searching for a specific country, let's say my country, which is Romania. As we can see, my country supports both developer and merchant account registration, but a few months ago the merchant account was not available in my country either. So don't get discouraged if your country is not yet supported. As discussed, Google is increasing the list of supported countries pretty fast. We can also see the default currency for the specific country, currency which is used in Google Play Store. Let's get back to our discussion and see what are the steps of creating a developer account with Google. We need to access the Google Play Developer Console. Here I'm logged into the Google Developer Console. First, you need to agree with terms and conditions. Then you need to have a credit card handy in order to pay the $25 registration fee. This is a one-time fee only, so you will become an Android developer for life. No other fees are involved. I'll click the Continue to Payment button and a new window will be displayed asking for my personal details and my credit card information. I will not enter these details here, but this is a straightforward process. As soon as you pay the $25 fee, you become an Android developer and will gain access to the Google Developer Console, which allows you to publish your apps. We'll discuss about app publishing in the following lesson. Thanks for watching. Hi, in this video we will discuss about creating the listing for your app and publish it. Here I'm logged in my Google Developer Console and I'll start by adding a new application. You get to choose the default language for your app and a title. The title has to contain up to 30 characters. I will name this app My Simple App and we leave the default settings for the language as English US. Next we have the option to upload our signed APK or to prepare the store listing. I'll choose to continue with the store listing. The first element of the listing is the title, which in this case is My Simple App. Up to 30 characters are accepted as the title of the app. Then we get to specify a short description which can contain up to 80 characters. I'll just enter here, this is the demo app. Next on the list is full description of your app. This can contain up to 4,000 characters. Usually, you would want to use some keywords for these entries like the title and description. Keywords that will allow the users to find your app when they perform a search on the Play Store. Next are the graphic assets. These are represented by screenshots of your app. Minimum 2 and maximum 8 screenshots are accepted. We'll start by providing the screenshots for the phones. I will select some screenshots took from another application for demonstration purposes. Next, you will be able to add screenshots of your app for 7 and 10-inch tablets. If your app is compatible with tablets, I highly advise you to upload the screenshots for these devices. If your app is compatible with TVs, you have the option to upload the screenshots for these devices also. Next, a high resolution icon is required. This has to be a 512 by 512 pixels image. A feature graphic is also required. The size for this is 1025 by 500 pixels. And finally, there's the promo graphic, which is optional. A promotional video is also optional but recommended. Here you can insert a URL from a YouTube video that presents the most important features of your app. Then you get to choose the application type, the category, and the content rating for your app. You can specify a website and an email address is required in order to let the users contact you for any problems or questions regarding your app. And finally, you can submit a privacy policy if you wish. By clicking the Save Draft button, we can see that the gray check mark has now turned into green, meaning that all the required fields have been filled successfully. After completing the other steps, the APK upload and the pricing and distribution, you will be able to publish your app. Let's take a look at the first one, the APK. Here you can upload your signed APK. There are 3 sections which allows you to upload your app. Production, which will make your app available to any users on the Play Store. Beta and alpha testing, which will only make your app available to specific group of users. This will be able to test your app and provide feedback. When dealing with complex apps, it's best to try these options first, before publishing your app to production. In this lesson, I will upload my APK to production by simply selecting the Production tab and then clicking on Upload your first APK to production. A new window appears which allows you to drag and drop your APK here, or you can click the Browse Files in order to browse for your APK. I'll just drag and drop my previously signed APK here, and the upload process starts immediately. As soon as the APK has been uploaded, you can see the number of supported devices for it, the number of excluded devices, the version of the application, the date that the APK was uploaded, and the status of it, which right now is draft in production. Next, we can see that this step is also considered to be completed as the checkmark next to it turned into green. There's one last step which deals with pricing and distribution. You can choose your app to be distributed as paid or free. It's important to notice that if you publish your app as free, you cannot change it back to paid later. Next, you get to choose the countries that the app will be published in. Unless you have a specific reason not to publish your application worldwide, you can use the Select All Countries checkbox. You can choose to make your app available to Android Wear, Android TV, or Google Play for education. You need to make sure that the app follows the content guidelines specified by Google and to acknowledge that your application may be subject to United States export laws, regardless of your location or nationality. If you decide to publish the app as paid instead of free, you need to have a merchant account with Google. Then you get to choose the default price for it, expressed in your local currency. Then you can auto-convert the price to other currencies. And finally, by clicking the Save Draft button, the gray checkmark will also turn into green, meaning that you've completed all the steps for creating your store listing and uploading your APK, and now your app is ready to be published. You have the option to delete the app in case you change your mind, or you can publish it by clicking the Publish App button. Google is not reviewing your app, so a few hours later, your app will be available to millions of users around the world. And that's how you publish your app to Google Play Store Marketplace. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Hello. In this video, we will take a look at how to update an already published application. I choose one of my apps called Smart Unit Converter for demonstration purposes. We can see that the current internal version of the app is 4 and the version that the users will see is 1.3. Let's switch to Eclipse and see what we need to change in our application before being able to update it on the Google Play Store. Presuming that you made all the changes to your app, like adding new features or redesigned the user interface, you will need to increase the version number of your app before being able to update it on the Google Play Store. The changes need to be made in the Android manifest.xml file. So I will open that file, and in the application panel we can find the current version number or version code of the application and the version name. While the version code represents an integer used internally by you, the developer, to keep track of your application version, the version name represents a text shown to the user of your app. We need to increment both these values. We increment the version code with 1 And depending on the changes that you made to the code, you can also increment the version name with 1, or if there have been major changes to your app, you can update its version name to 2. If the changes made to your app are not significant, you can change this number to 1.3.1. I will simply update it to 1.4 in this lesson. If we switch to the text view of Android manifest file, we can find these values at the beginning of the file, at lines 4 and 5. One last check before generating the signed APK is to update the target SDK version of your app to the latest Android SDK available at this time, which in my case is 21. I'll save the file and will generate a new signed APK by right-clicking the project and selecting Android Tools and then Export Signed Application Package. I'm then asked for the name of the project, which is Smart Unit Converter. Then we get to choose between using an existing KStore or creating a new one. It's important to notice that if you want to update your app on the Play Store, you'll have to use the same KStore as the one that you used before when assigning your previous versions of your app. You won't be able to update your app if you want to use another key, so it's important to save the keys in a safe place. I will then browse to the location containing my KStore and will select it. I'm then asked for the password associated with that KStore and will click Next. Then I get to choose the alias for the key and again will need to enter my password. By clicking Next, we are asked for a destination folder for our APK. For simplicity, I will save this file on my desktop and finally will press Finish. After a few seconds, the Export Android Application window disappears, and if I switch to my desktop folder, I can find the APK file. Next, I'll get back to my Google Developer Console page and will need to upload the newly created APK file. I'll make sure that production is selected, so I will upload the APK to production. I'll then browse for my APK file and will select it. As soon as the APK file is uploaded, we receive a warning telling us that the Google Play Services library that we are using in our project is only available for Android devices that are running the API level 9 and above. We will fix this warning shortly. Next, we can see the version code that we specified in the manifest file and the version name. Currently, the API level is 4, but we need to change this to 9 in order to be compatible with the latest Google Play Services library. So, back in Eclipse, we need to change the min SDK version value from 4 to 9. By doing this, we will exclude all the devices that are running the Android SDK versions between 4 and 9, but these are pretty old versions, so the number of excluded devices will not be high. After saving the manifest file, we will need to generate again the signed APK, so we'll repeat the step performed earlier. We right-click on the project and select Android Tools Export Signed Application Package. Then we select our project. We specify the password for the keyword that we want to use, the one that we used earlier. Next, we enter the password for the key. We choose to overwrite the output file located on my desktop and we click Finish. Now that the new APK has been generated, we switch back to Google Developer Console. We cancel the earlier upload as we will use the new APK. We repeat the steps to upload the new APK to production by browsing for the APK file and upload it. And as we can see, the warning displayed earlier is gone. Now the version code is still the same, 5. The version name is 1.4, but the API level value was increased to 9. By changing the API level value, we removed 277 devices that were compatible with our app, while the API level was 4. But as explained, this is not an important issue as there are pretty old devices and the number of these devices is not high. There are still over 8,000 devices that are compatible with our app after the update. You can specify the new version changes or what's included in this update, and finally by clicking Publish Now to Production, you will update your application. As with any app publishing procedure, please allow a few hours to pass before being able to find the new version of your app on the Play Store. So, to summarize, in this video we discuss how to update our app to a new version on the Google Play Store. Thanks for watching and see you soon.